Flight boss, bitch, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of that Terry's Moon. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, I'm going to speak about how the elites utilize astrology in order to carry out events. Events like 9/11 and all these catastrophic events. Anything that's deep rooted in history that caused a change. You see what I'm saying? A change in some type of way. This is what this is about. Now, also, I know you go across a lot of people on the internet who may speak about certain events after the fact, but you never get a clear understanding of the what, when, where, and how, and why, or the actual process that the elites go through in order to get the ball rolling. So that's what my channel was about. This is what you need to understand. The shit I'm talking about is the shit elites already know about. So before I even break this shit down, right, this is I always got to do a disclaimer so you can clearly understand the rest of the video. Now here's what you need to understand. If we all was to come together, like I know all y'all like to be separate in your own singularity spaces based upon y'all cities and states and y'all neighborhoods, but for an example, if we was to all come together on one frequency vibration, aka one mentality, one mind state, one idea, one concept, and one feeling and emotion for a period of time, right? Whoever can harness that energy and direct it in a certain direction actually will control this realm of reality. They actually will control this imagination or this dream that we are all seeing in front of us, what we call reality. So that's what you need to understand. So before you go trying to be separate and shit, think about what the news channels is doing. Elites work through certain news channels for everybody who's channeling that news channel to resonate with certain frequency vibrations that they putting out. And the more people that connect with the same frequency vibration, the more that they can create their dream or their imagination or their law much faster into this realm of reality. You see what I'm saying? So now that we got that out the way, let's break this shit down. So this is how the elites utilize astrology. Now, I don't want people to understand to look at shit like 9/11 like, okay, they picked 9/11 as the date, because calendars and numbers and shit like that, that's besides the fact. We're talking about energies and alignments. And what's an alignment? A transit. So that's a period of time that we're going to experience a certain energy. So for an example, what is an alignment or transit? You see what I'm saying? Now, this is when a group of planets or a group of stars or a group of lights, which is nothing more but information, consciousness, are aligning in certain ways. If you're into astrology, you understand that alignments represent certain energy signatures. So if you got a opposing alignment, that's the energy it's going to give off. Now, depending on what two planets is aligning, that's going to be how the opposition play out. You know what I'm saying? So you may have some favorable oppositions like the moon and Venus, but then you may have some harsh oppositions like the sun and Jupiter or things of that nature when they're opposing each other. So the elites understand that we're under these influences. So if you're not into astrology or anything of that nature, then if you come across someone who is, like elites, all they have to do is plant certain seeds into certain cities, into news channels and stuff like that, aka ideas, concepts. All they have to do is plant certain seeds, because they know how people is going to react to them seeds at that time, at that period of time. So if they know that people are lost and they watch news all the times and people just live their regular day-to-day lives, then they know that these people are the people that's carrying out the duties and obligations of these energies. And the people who do know about the energies and are aware of the alignments, they know how to manipulate the frequency vibrations. So this is what the elites is doing through the news channels and channels in general, channels, radio channel, all shits. So keep that in motherfucking mind. They utilize propaganda and things of that nature. So now you probably sitting back and wondering why, like, okay, if these are people in power, why do they have to go through big old catastrophic events or moments in order to change a law or something like that? Why they just can't change it? Here's why. Because you need a sense of power or a sense of source to change anything. Otherwise, it won't gain no traction. It won't get paid attention to. You know what I'm saying? And what's an alignment? Alignment is a sense of source, a sense of power. And if you need more power over more of the environment or over more people, places, and things that's outside of you, you're going to need a higher source of power outside of you to do these things. And what is a higher source of power? A higher light, a higher information, these alignments. So the whole purpose of the elites doing these moments is trying to gain access to that power, trying to gain access to that source, and they're trying to harness it and so they can direct that energy into what they want to direct it into. So let's break it down. So this is why you need more power. Now, Here's what you need to understand or overstand or understand, right? Now, when they plant certain seeds, the people like y'all who are lost are going to play out those energies. But for an example, they have to create what's actually being reacted to, aka the seed. And when they plant that seed, they pay attention to the alignments. And depending on the alignments, that's how the seed going to be reacted to. So depending on what kind of seed they want to grow, they're going to base that based upon the alignment. Because the alignment is going to show them what kind of characteristics that people are going to have when they start reacting to the seed. And that's the alignment is going to let them know what they need and what they don't need on this seed in order for it to grow in the way that they want it to grow. So when you look at now, if they want a law to pass, for an example, if I wanted a law to pass, right? Say I created a law. Say I was in the House of Senate or some shit like that, and I wanted the law to pass. Now, if this is a law I want done, but it's not needed, or like it's not going to gain no attraction, people in the cities and states ain't going to go out and vote for that shit. They're going to be like, we don't need this shit. What is this? They just making up laws now for us to go and vote. It ain't even going to gain enough traction for people to care enough about it to even vote about it. So you have to create a moment or something like that. So here's what's actually going on, right? Now, say they want to change a law. Now, what you need to understand, a law, they need power to change the law because they may have certain constitutions or certain shit that was placed before, and if they was to change it, they can't change it with like how I was just explaining it. Like I just want to change it today, but it ain't no meaning and reasoning to change it. You can't just change it like that. You don't have enough power and source. Even if you are an elite and you have enough power, you don't have enough power to convince the large mass majority to agree with those terms and conditions in order for you to do it. So what you need to understand what a law is always to allow something. Don't get lost into whatever news channel you watching, whatever like that, for them to lie to you and to make you think that a law is to prevent something. No, that's the lie right there. That's the illusion right there. Don't ever forget, a law is always to allow something. And they lie to you and make you think a law is to prevent something. No, a law is always to allow something. And then they come up with this pretty ass type of constitution or this pretty ass logical lie to make you feel comfortable with them telling you that, no, this is to prevent something. So a law is always to allow something. So a lot of times when you got new laws, that's a lot of times it's because it's a new agenda. Laws carry agendas. And what's an agenda? Agenda is something hidden, a hidden message. Now, it could be a good agenda or a bad agenda. But for the most part, anytime something's an agenda is hidden. And anytime something's hidden is in the dark. And anytime something's dark is correlated to the feminine or the negative energy. Now, I'm not saying it's bad in your life, but it's attached to more energy signatures that why is it hidden anyway if it's not going to correlate to something that you don't want to be fully seen? AKA, it's going to lead into negative natures anyway. So that's what you have to understand when you're talking about manipulating frequency vibrations and being careful with space or what you're trying to portray, right? So a lot of times they take this shit, right? And a law is to allow something. So when you got governments or things of that nature creating laws, they're trying to create a law in order for people to agree to the terms and conditions to let them to allow something to happen. You know what I'm saying? So when you get shit like martial law and shit like that, that has to be allowed. But it has to be an event that they create in order for that to be allowed. So it's certain laws that you may think is good for you, but the agenda behind it allows something else to happen that you are unaware of. So you got to keep that in mind. And what's allowed to happen may be more hurtful to you than what's appearing to be. You see what I'm saying? Let me do it to a small example for my third dimensional left brain people who may not understand it, right? It may be something like your city need to fix your streets or something like that. So they come up with this law and it's and make you think that it's preventing the streets to get fucked up again. So if everybody go vote for this law, this means that every 3 months the people will fix the streets. So you think it's good because the streets won't never be fucked up, not knowing that the agenda behind it is to get more money out of the city. So now everybody taxes is going to go up, and everybody work check who work in that area, who work in that district. Like if you don't work out of the county or something like that, you have to pay the taxes, the reader tax or whatever you want to call it, right? All that, they're going to start deducting your checks and shit like that or whatever like that in order for that event to occur. So now they let the street get fucked up. They let the street get super fucked up in order for a lot of people to complain that the streets need to get fixed. So now the mayor and shit come up with this good ass idea to be like, all right, everybody vote for this because every 3 months the motherfucking streets will get fixed. So now you think that's good because now you think that new law is preventing the street from getting fucked up now, because every time the street get fucked up a little bit, then they gonna come fix the street every 3 months. Not knowing now your motherfucking work check is gonna get deducted. Now your motherfucking taxes is gonna motherfucking rise. And now that was the fucking agenda behind it. Them getting more money out of the city to do some motherfucking bullshit that don't even benefit the kids of the city. You know what I'm saying? They ain't building no new skating rings or nothing shit. They building new offices and jails and shit with that money, right? So now you in the concept of being caught in the flocks. You see what I'm saying? You caught in between. You're not reading in between the lines now. You know what I'm saying? Now you thinking it's preventing something when really, nah, it's allowing them to take more money from you now. You see what I'm saying? Where you wouldn't even have no goddamn problem with the goddamn streets in the first place if they ain't create the problem of them not fixing the streets every 3 months in the first goddamn place. You wouldn't even have no goddamn complaints. So you see how they created the goddamn problem? You see how they let the street get all fucked up and shit like that, right? For y'all to complain. Then when y'all complain, boom, they create the solution. Then once y'all go with the solution, the hidden agenda, they still fucking y'all in the motherfucking ass with a plunger. You see how that fucking shit work? Now take that onto a higher level. Take that out of your system and government in the city and take that to the motherfucker who rule your country. Take that to the shit who rule your motherfucking continent. It's the same goddamn shit. So they look at these motherfucking alignments, right? And they plant seeds. And then they let y'all lost motherfuckers act on upon those energies. Then once y'all start to react to it, right? Here come the motherfuckers in power, now having more source and power to come up with y'all motherfucking solution now. Now they got all the solutions. So now y'all watching the news channels every day. Now y'all looking at the president every day. Now y'all waiting to see if the motherfucking shit gonna change in your everyday life, and then day after day, month after month, year in a year, year after year, decade after decade, ain't shit changing your life. Ain't none of those laws that was so quote unquote supposed to prevent something prevent shit. All it did was allow some other shit that they gonna create another catastrophic 9/11 moment to prevent that, to allow some other shit. Everybody get the fuck out of this shit. So for an example, let's go to 9/11, because I done broke down the process. Now let's break it down in an example. Let's go to 9/11 now. So let's go to 9/11. Now that was what? 2001. Right now, like I said, don't get lost, because you're going to get lost in thinking, okay, it's 9/11. So, no, 9/11 and the date, that came after the fact. The calendar, the numbers, and the date, that was after the fact. So, that event happened on 9/11, 2001, but you got to think about it like this. That was just a day, but 9/11, 2001, what was that, September and shit like that. These are just names we're calling that space and location. So once we call something a name, that came after the fact. So that's going to be the energy that's added to it. The energy that's already there is the transits and the planets that's getting ready to align for that shit. Now the numbers is the shit that's added, that's just going to be added to it. It happened on 9/11. So you correlate, it's going to be something that's dealing with wisdom and knowledge, but due to individuals, but how individuals can relate. So a high changeable wisdom, it's going to be a moment of high wisdom and knowledge and expansion that the two ones, aka each individual, can relate to each other. So that's 9/11. Then we talk about it being in September. September is correlated to the Virgo energy. So this is something being birthed. There's always a sun being birthed in that time. You know, woman clothed with the sun. So there's always new energies and shit like that being birthed. So that's a change a high catastrophic change that everybody can extract wisdom and knowledge or place new meanings and reasonings, whether high or low to. So that's just what was going to be added to the scenario. And that's what everybody got from it. Everybody got meanings of reasoning, wisdom and knowledge. Everybody got wiser from that. It was an expanded type of moment, an expansion. It was a big old Jupiterian. It dealt with a goddamn plane. Shit, goddamn it. How much more can you get? You know what I'm saying? So before we even get into that, now check it out. Now we know that anytime events like this happen, it's because they're trying to change a big law. So they're trying to have something big allowed. Not something small allowed, something big allowed. So something big has to be prevented. It has to be a catastrophic moment big in order for people to automatically agree to the terms and conditions of the solution. And this solution, you might not ever know what's the agenda. So for the most part, look at it like this. This was a perfect time, right? This was a perfect time because in this period, the sun, now anytime you get big old catastrophic moments, this is what you need to understand. It's only going to deal with two planets. And it's going to be the outer planets, not no inner planets. The inner planets have to lead you up to the outer planets. So these elites was utilizing like the sun, Mercury, Mars, and Venus and shit as, they was utilizing those energies as the planting seeds up to the event. But for the most part, the event was going to take place with the big old energy. And that's either Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto. So right here, and then when we talk about laws is dealing with more like Saturn. So laws is dealing with Saturn because Saturn is how we see reality. How we see reality and how we gain structure in our lives in this reality based upon a person, place, or thing, resource, or job. And it's also where we see or where we place or receive boundaries and restrictions and limits. So if you're talking about infrastructure, business, politics, law, government, and all that type of shit, then you're talking about Saturn. So if any type of structure or type of stability needs to be changed, it's going to have to be an influence that's dealing with Saturn. So at this period of time, dealing with 9/11, Saturn was actually opposing Pluto. So like I said, we dealing with the outer planets, right? It has to be when you're changing something in this realm of reality, Saturn rules this realm of reality. That's an Earth star. So what's under that? You got Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Mercury, Moon, the Sun. But see, that needs an outer source to control anything up under this in a larger magnitude. So elites understand that. So when you get transits and catastrophic transits with the leader of this realm, which is Saturn, or any other ones, right, with an opposing or a squaring energy, then that's the time and space that something can happen catastrophically. That's what you need to understand. And it will happen into the planet that's in this realm type of way. So in this way, it was Saturn dealing with the outer planet. So it's going to be dealing with our time, our structure, what we founded on, our law, our politic, our status, how we're seen in some type of way. So it was opposing Pluto. What is Pluto? Transformation and power and control. Now, power and control, either you're trying to take it or someone's taking it from you. Transformation. It can either be catastrophic and harmful, or it can be a positive and harmonious transformation. See that harmonious, harmful. It's the same spectrum. It's just different polar shifts of it. So for the most part, right, when you have it opposing, what's the opposing alignment? That's opposing, obstacle, opposition. So these two alignments was opposing each other at that time. So you got Saturn opposing Pluto. So let's talk about the opposing energy. That's at odds, looking at each other. So you get mass weapons from that energy signature. You get swords and knives from that energy signature. Pencils, trying to make a point. Only time you try to make a point is when your point don't agree with someone else's. Because you wouldn't be trying to make a point if you agree with someone on something. You see what I'm saying? So the point, the dot, trying to be an individual, single yourself out. There's a lot of energies that come from the energy signature of the opposition alignments that we have attracted from those alignments. When you look at the number A, that ain't nothing but a star. When you look at letters and shapes, all letters and shapes and sigils and signs and shit is just us calculating a travel of an alignment or an angle, or us drawing an alignment together, all together. You see, that's how we come up with language and shit like that from the stars. Everything. Astrology predates flight astrology predates every goddamn thing. I created all that shit. Archangel Uriel shit. But look, goddamn, watch out the West. Goddamn. Hey, but look, check this out. When we talk about this shit, right? See, it's opposing Pluto. So for the most part, now that it's creating opposing energies, that alignment. So that's the source of power at that time. They at least knew that. So they used it for their shit. And for everybody who lost and not into this shit, they just out carrying the energies on the world, opposing on each other in that Saturn and Pluto way. So for the most part, they just planted seeds for this to happen. And how many seeds that the elites planted, they probably planted so many seeds and put so many energies in those seeds. When it blossomed, when that energy, aka those groups of light, shined on that seed that the elites was planted, that tree grew fast as hell. So the point that it was a catastrophic transformative moment. You see what I'm saying? So that's what you need to understand. Now, for the most part, when with Saturn opposing Pluto, right? Now, at that time, the people, it doesn't matter if it was the motherfucking Islams who jumped in the plane. It doesn't matter what bodies or cells or people was going to play out those characteristics. Somebody was going to play out those characteristics. Now, like I said, the elites harnessed it and directed that energy towards whoever they directed to, the Islamic people or all the people or shit like that, in order for them to gravitate and get into these energies and play out. Remind you, the elites is sitting back. You have an American elite and you have a Saudi Arabia elite, and they sitting back laughing like, okay, this is what we need to do in order for us to do what we trying to do. And then as y'all play it out through the countries, y'all think both of the countries is at war with each other, where the motherfuckers who's sitting back controlling both of the countries is sitting. You got the ruler, the motherfucker, and this ruler. They best fucking friends. Do y'all get it? So it's the seeds being planted. The motherfucker in the American seat was like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna plant these seeds over there. The motherfucker in the Saudi Arabia seat was like, all right, yeah, and then I'm gonna have my niggas over in this country, the lost motherfuckers, do this, that, and the third when I plant these seeds. So y'all in this lore round think we're going to war with each other. What? See, this is y'all beyond lost. But for the most part, here's what's actually happening, right? Now, at that time, what was gonna actually happen is a big transformation towards politics, structure, all Saturn things like. That was possible at that time. It wouldn't have been possible at no other time. If Saturn was fucking, if Pluto wasn't trying in that shit at that time, and it had a lot of shit to do with Venus or something at that time, then how the fuck the elite's gonna play out the energy and it play out in the right way? People gonna be responding and reacting. All the lost people gonna be responding and reacting to loving energies and trying to transform their relationships in some type of way. If Pluto was opposing Venus or some shit like that, you see what I'm saying? But it wasn't. It was opposing Saturn, so that was the right time for that. You get it? That's how you could be like, oh, it could have been any other day. No, it couldn't have been, because the energy wouldn't have worked any other day. One of those motherfuckers who hopped, one of those jihads motherfuckers who, G.I. Joe motherfuckers, jihads who got the Habibis who got the motherfucking knife, wouldn't have took the fucking plane hostage, because they would have been resonating with some love vibration that day. They would have transformed the way they loved that day if Venus was opposing Pluto. But see, Saturn was. So it wasn't that type of party. Some type of system had to get transformed. So if the elites notice, at that time, that was going to be the best time for that energy to play out. And then once that moment got shot down, they was able to take power and control over that structure, over that Saturn-like energy again. They used the Pluto to take power and control over the Saturn-like energy. They transformed that and took power, and it was a big transformation, catastrophic moment. Then they harnessed and took power and control over that energy and created some new structure, some new pattern, some new law, some new government, some new pattern, some new system, you know what I'm saying, some new status, aka some new Saturn energy. So don't get it fucked up into thinking that these prophesying events happen at a particular date. No, these transits be happening from either from hours to days to weeks to months to years. So it's a period of time that we're traveling through that space and location in the astral realm. And the elites know this. And during that time, this event can happen any day during that period of time. The only job and obligation that the elites have to do is plant the seeds. And they know that the job is well done if they see that tree come to fruition fast, and they know the job is not well done if they see other people waking up and not being easily influenced by what they're just told or what they're seeing or the feelings and emotions that's being pushed out, aka being lost by news channels and being lost. People are waking up and having their own mind. So their power and their source that they're trying to utilize the alignment and the alignments for them for is not going to gain no traction because people are not paying attention to it. So it's going to have no power. So whatever they're trying to create ain't going to have enough power or source to emit into this imagination, into this dream, into this realm of reality we are in. So their laws is not even going to take place. You see what I'm saying? You got to. So they're losing power the more you wake up. So they're going to have to create more extreme catastrophic moments in order for you to be in a more blinder state to allow a law again. A law is just to allow something, but they blind you into thinking it's to prevent something. You see? So this shit is serious in this motherfucker. Stop allowing shit and letting them lie to you thinking it's to prevent something for your fucking safety. And we wouldn't have this big old gun issue in the first place. Because they created the problem in the first place. Why do you think countries going to war? They started making weapons of mass destruction to protect themselves. Now when that shit get out of hand, now they got the solution. So now we got a whole bunch of wars that happen. Now you got the same people who created the problem got the solution. Well, they ain't doing nothing but creating another lie, aka making you think it's another type of prevention in order to allow something else. So we done went from having war with just fucking knives on the end of those fucked up ass pumps and little ass shotguns to all the way having motherfucking nuclear weapons now. So they done created the fucking little ass pumps with the knives on there and made y'all think it was to prevent us from getting hurt when we go to war, when they started that war. So now they allow guns and made you think it's to prevent us from getting hurt from some ghosts that we create ourselves. And then another person, place, or thing just take that shape and form. Then once that get out of hand, the same people create a more catastrophic version of it. Now to prevent y'all little motherfuckers from having a pump, a little broken pump with a knife on it, to prevent that from y'all, let's create another law to allow a nuclear weapon. Now after we blow ourselves up, what's next? Because we getting into the fourth dimension, so we gonna be creating worlds at that moment. So what's next? Motherfucker, we gonna prevent motherfuckers from creating Earths and Mars and Venuses and shit to allow another motherfucker to create a whole fucking solar system. Y'all gotta get out this cycle, man. Flight bombs, bitch, goddamn air.